All right, so November's self-awareness and mindful clinic on the theme of Ayurveda, as promised. And of course, I have here my dear friend, mentor, teacher, Lily. Hi, Lily.
Hello, Sam. Nice to see you in cyberspace in your amazing capsule.
It is a capsule indeed. Thank you for joining and for contributing to this sharing wisdom session for the community. And not just the community, but for everybody who's going to watch the replay and the clips that we're going to make. And so just to summarize, the intent for this is to share the wisdom of Ayurveda as a system, as a method, as a toolbox of tools, whatever you want to describe it as, but really to share that the knowledge of this great science of life, ancient wisdom known as Ayurveda. And for those of you who want to know more about kind of the history behind that, you've got Google. But what's even better is that if you look in the YouTube, you will, in my YouTube channel, you'll see the session we had before this, where Lily, myself, and Komal discuss and touch upon the history, the origins of Ayurveda. But we don't want to sort of overwhelm you with that information. You can find that information, it's everywhere. What we want to do is create a space where we can break down the fundamentals of Ayurveda into very simple, accessible, and actionable pieces of information that are also relatable. And of course, I have my teacher, as I mentioned, and my mentor and friend Lily with us. Lily is an expert, and I say expert in the sense that she's got years of experience studying this, implementing it, living it, learning from it, and teaching and guiding other people how to implement and integrate. So that means really live the knowledge of Ayurveda. So it's such an honor to have you with us, Lily. And the promise was that we would start with the doshas. So, Lily, if you could just give us a summary of the doshas.
Okay, with pleasure. So the doshas, it's really the pillar of Ayurveda. We can look at the whole entire spectrum of what Ayurveda encompasses into the doshas as a beginner platform. Because then once you understand the doshas, then you can understand how Ayurveda works in this way naturally. So the word dosha translates from Sanskrit as that which can go out of balance, that which can go vitiate, that which can go sour, which can go get infected also in a kind of more medical way. And we have 3 doshas in Ayurveda, and I will describe them, and then we can speak about more examples or what have you. So the first dosha is, we call it first only because it's the one that can get out of balance more easily, because it's the principles of Vata are based on space and air. So that's what it's made of, space and air. So the qualities are mobile, light, rough, dry. If I think of any other, I will mention that. But that's in essence is that is dry. It's light. It's mobile and tough and dry. And so if you think about these qualities are in essence drying in a way. So Vata can get dry very, very, very easily. So there's lack of water. When you think about the elements, there is no water in Vata. So a Vata person is that which typically their skin is dry, they're physically they're very slim. Vata types, they're either very short or very tall, like a typical model, very skinny, tall. That's a typical Vata type.
Okay.
And there's this light there's either like maybe the arms a bit short or too long, or the legs, or the slightly crooked nose, curly hair. The skin tends to be slightly on the olive type. And Vata types, there is a rule in Ayurveda, which I like to mention now, which is really important, which is like raises the like. So if you bring an element of dryness and cold, by the way, and mobile and rough into Vata, they're going to go out of balance. So the organism, it's understanding that wants to heal itself. The way that Vasan Lad, an incredible doctor of Ayurveda, how he describes this is this. So the organism is trying to regulate itself. So then it throws this Vata out of balance. If it feels cold, then you're going to get even colder. If you get dry food, dry environment, dry anything, the Vata, the dryness is going to be manifested.
Can I just
And
pause there for a minute,
Yes.
Lily? Okay, can I just pause there for a minute? So the first dosha out of the three that we're addressing is called Vata. Okay, just so that I can just slow this down and sort of break it down, almost sort of reiterate what you're saying. It's called Vata, and you've mentioned air, mobility, cold, dry, rough. These are qualities that are associated with Vata. So if we were made up of qualities, the human body is made up of these qualities. That's how Ayurveda breaks it down at one level. It's a fundamental. And if we have Vata within our makeup, okay, if we then add more of those qualities, so if I have Vata and I then expose myself to a dry environment, okay, or I eat if I eat a lot of dry nuts, just say as an example, what I'm doing is
rice cakes.
or rice cakes, okay, crackers, right? I'm contributing to throwing my Vata out of balance. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And now in the body, each dosha has a site. So this is important. So the site for Vata is the large intestine, even though Vata exists also in the pelvic girdle, in the bones, and somewhat in the skin. So therefore, when a Vata person is going into Vata age, which is much the last stage in life, then all of the symptoms are going to be all of the predominantly symptoms that Vata will go, that when out of balance will predominate.
Okay.
And mainly the digestion. So this is a big we can say that is the red flag for Vata person when the digestion is out of balance. Too much gas, bloating. So the body just produces this, let's call it this, it's a byproduct of when the body is out of balance. So gassy, cold, bloating, and therefore the first thing to pay attention to if you're Vata is your digestion. So eat the right foods that are going to be right for your type, which is bringing the element of water. So, and also warmth. So those are probably the most important. You ground a person because they tend to be, Vata tends to be quite airy with the fairies, as we say. So the first thing is to ground them and then to keep them warm. You ground a person through food, through keeping them warm, through oily food, massage, meditation. But a Vata person would have a hard time meditating.
I was going to say,
yeah,
because the human concept of meditation, it's a function of the mind. So if we're already in the air, in our thoughts, airy, then meditation, it's almost bringing more focus to the mind, which might be a struggle for someone who is predominantly Vata. Is that right?
Absolutely. And another aspect, interesting aspect when Vata is out of balance is there might be some psychological issues and
mental
issues.
health.
Yeah, mental health is a big one. So a tendency to depression, a tendency to psychological out of balance, mental
Okay.
imbalances. So what happens in Ayurveda says that if you don't take care of Vata, things will start to go off. Even if you're not a Vata predominate
Okay.
being, you still have to take care of the Vata, because like I said initially, it could be the one that gets out of balance more easily, even if you're Pitta, even if you're a Kapha. And so the food is really important, and the warmth.
Okay.
And then of course,
Lily, sorry, can I pause
yeah.
again one moment? Because you said something which I think is important to highlight. I mean, it's all important, but particularly you mentioned that the different stages of our life, in a way, accentuate or represent specific doshas. So the latter years in our life is Vata. And I think this reason why I want to highlight this is for women, because I can identify and relate to that. The later stage would be for me, and correct me, perimenopause, menopause. And some of these qualities that Vata qualities that you mention of this stage of life resonate with the symptoms we often experience during perimenopause and menopause, brittle bones. Well, actually didn't say brittle bones, but the sort of airiness, the flightiness, the brain fog, the dry, right? The dry skin changes, and other parts of our body get very dry. What else? What are the other qualities that you mentioned? But those two in particular really stood out for me.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because when you reach this stage in our lives, the perimenopause, menopause, which we're both experiencing, the changes are so drastic that literally from one moment to the next, you just feel different. So this is imperative to pay attention and to counterbalance by doing the right things. And it's lifestyle changes. It's not brain science. It brings you back to monitoring how you're
Living.
carrying on your daily routines, because in Ayurveda, routines and rituals, as I like to call them, they are the foundation of balance, is to implement this on a daily basis. It has to be daily, otherwise, because Ayurveda can take a while to truly heal somebody. This is the I guess for some people it could be the drawback, because you can take a pill and be done with it, but that pill might accelerate and exasperate other
Something
issues.
else. Yes. You mentioned the large intestine as being the site, right? And then you mentioned, for example, bloatedness, and that's another symptom, I would say, not just for women in perimenopause and menopause, the sort of bloated feeling, but just people as they approach their senior years. I mean, I remember my mom, thank goodness, hope she doesn't watch this, but my grandparents as well, always breaking wind a lot as they were older. And I used to think, God, this is like such an old person thing. Now I'm understanding a bit better why. And now I'm actually far more able to be compassionate, because I'm noticing that for myself. I'm just windy, and I do feel bloated a lot more than I ever used to. And I don't feel like my diet has changed in any way, but my body has changed. And because my body has changed, because as you're saying, possibly because I'm in this season of my life, I now need to readjust. I need to listen to my body. My body's telling me something, right? And we are always evolving. And as creatures of habit, humans, we kind of get used to our routines and our rituals. And instead of paying attention to what the body is saying, we're like, well, I've had this ritual and routine my whole life. Why should I change it? And we stop listening. So I just wanted to add that part as sort of personal experience, so that it can, it gives an example. So I'll stop talking. Back to you, Vata.
No, that's okay. But I mean, on that note, I mean, it could be something as simple as being really mindful of what you're eating, how you're eating it, when you're eating it. Because if you're eating fast, if you're Vata typical, eating in a rush, standing up, So then the mindfulness of, oh, hang on a second, I need to sit down, take a breath, give gratitude to your food, and eat it slowly. Then your digestion might go, okay, thanks for that. I appreciate that. I might give you less wind. And drinking more ginger tea, adding more cumin to your diet in general. Warmth, exactly, warmth, and maybe extra soaking your rice and beans. In fact, soaking everything will help to avoid being gassy, because it's a big
So
problem.
less dry, more wet, right?
Water, yeah.
Less
back
cold,
to the
more warm. I feel like I really want to call this out right now, because there is a global trend and it's been growing, this trend. Okay. And I know you're in beautiful Ibiza. I don't know if the trend is there. I think it possibly is, which is the trend of ice baths and cold plunges. Okay. Now, the thing about cold plunges is I know there's been practice for generations, and particularly in Scandinavia. Okay. So, again, depending on our cultural makeup, okay, which is going to affect our doshas. It's something that is so cultural in our DNA, practice for a specific reason. And now I see this trend, everyone's all about cold ice baths, ice baths. And yes, it's great for recovery, but the context of which is, if you are a professional athlete or you're a person who's very physical, works out a lot, has big muscle, a lot of muscle tone, and you've exhausted or you're injured, even cold plunges are great, can be good for the nervous system. But in relation to Ayurveda, again, particularly as women, I would say, tell me because of intuitively and logically this makes sense to me. If I'm in the season of my life, the Vata season of my life, and I have to be mindful of the dry and the cold, right? Okay, an ice bath is wet, number one. So maybe, if I think in a polarity way, if I'm dry, then I should explore more wet. Okay, so that's wet. But cold in an ice bath, is that not going to exacerbate my already uncomfortable symptoms of Vata?
This is very interesting and a very good point. In fact, I think I've heard a podcast about specifically ice baths in Vata. So if you think about what's happening physiologically in the body when we're going through perimenopause, menopause, there is a tendency for inflammation and also the hot flashes.
Yes.
So actually, but this I think I would say comes back to an individual happening. If you resonate with, okay, I'm having a hot flash and a cold plunge in a cold pool feels great, then do it. And actually, I've been doing that. I mean, I'm a typical Vata type. We've had, in Ibiza, we've had heat up until October in some years. And this last couple of years has been very challenging for me, specifically because of that. Having these hot flashes. They're not intense, luckily, but they're there. And when I have them, it's like, wow, I have a pool right there. Guess what? I'm going to jump on that pool and it's going to feel great. And I do. It feels amazing. And when my Vata is cold and I'm shivery and the idea of ice cold gives me, it will immediately will bring me out of balance, because just the thought of it might not be, then I don't do that. But I think there is some specialists are saying that if you at any specific time feel like a cold plunge is what you need because you're having a hot flash and that makes you feel so good, or you're feeling slightly inflamed in your joints or what have you, then that might be okay. Don't stay too long. Literally just go in, refresh, and then come out. I mean, it does make a difference. And actually, it's been proven that a cold dip, not having a swim in the cold ocean, just a dip, is also good for toning the vagus nerve.
Yes.
So I guess it just depends on how you feel. But so not too often, not for long, but just to cool yourself down, because what happens is that pitta, that fire, just is like a rage. It's like suddenly you're sweating and you can't think, you can't do anything because you just feel so uncomfortable. Then even a cold shower, it's okay. Say that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's about the autonomy, and that's the danger with trends, right? So context is everything. If you are choosing to do it because you are literally trying to find balance, so you're inflamed and you're fairly consistently inflamed. I mean, like for me, my joint pain was ridiculous, and I'm going to come away so much from I'm going to ask you now something that's more relatable for, let's say, men in their later years. How might this look and feel for them? Because we're using the reference of perimenopause and menopause. How do men experience similar symptoms in their Vata years, and what might they look like? Are they, yeah.
They would too. I mean, we all have to. It's a rite of passage. They may not have it as severely in terms of hormones, for example. They don't, or hormonal, like women, Vata women during their menopause, they are going to unfortunately feel that a little bit more because of their nature. But for men, men have it slightly easier as a species in their later years.
If we were to compare,
yeah, we don't want to too much
because it's all relative, right?
Yeah, it's so relative. It's so relative. But I think that when you see men in their Vata years still running. I mean, power to them. It's amazing. And they do slow down. I mean, men in general, they have in their Pitta years, which is the prime of our lives, when we have to be working, when we're producing, when we're building, when we're, have children, we have all that energy. Then they tend to slow down because they feel their bodies. So women might want to be more the nurturers, the carriers during their Vata time, but the men tend to slow down actually quite a lot, and they in a way, I guess I could say they own it. From what I have observed. So I guess in relation to if we can stick to the doshas in the times of life, from the time where we're born up until just slightly past teenage years, we're in kapha.
Okay.
So whereas where we have, I mean, when you think of a babies.
Oh wait, Lily, 1 second. I don't want you to touch on kapha yet. Let's wrap up. Let's wrap up Vata first, and I want to be mindful of the time. So, I'm just going to move it along a little bit with Vata. Okay, so you talked about the qualities, talked about how we exacerbate it, and we mentioned about the dosha Vata as it represents a specific chapter in life. Okay, so the later years, more senior years. I would like to touch upon the quality of emotion that shows up, that not shows up, that is related to Vata. And just because, I want to be the student that brings the red apple and gives it to the teacher, I am also referring to some of the notes that I took and that I have from when I was training with you in my yoga teacher training with Ayurvedic fundamentals, which is why I'm mentioning this. And from my notes, the two emotional qualities, I'll say, that relate to Vata I have here are being fear and anxiety. And of course, again, if I relate it to the stage of life, I do notice in other people, my parents, my aunties and uncles, and now myself, how I'm a little bit more fearful than I've ever been before in my life. And I experience a lot more anxiety than I've ever done. And not knowing that this is a quality of Vata, it doesn't take it away, but it validates and kind of tells me it's okay. This is part of the process. So I'd love if you could expand a little bit on this, just sort of and to wrap us up on Vata.
Okay, so I would say that emotionally, a Vata type, because of their nature of being airy and ungrounded, so that leads into anxiety and fear. For as I refer to them also as the drawback, because in Vata and every dosha has amazing qualities. So the 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 downer or the drawback to Vata type is that they have a tendency to depression, anxiety, and fear. And this is natural. It's natural. It's not like you said, it's not to take it away, but once you understand that you have those tendencies when you are going through the emotion, it makes you want to go, like, if you can just for a second go, oh, okay, oh, I get it. This is why I have an aversion towards this or an aversion towards that, or where if you're still having your moon cycle, for example, you get extra sensitive during your moon cycle, and so you will feel a rise in fear around that time. And Vatas, because of their nature again of ungroundedness and what was the other? I'm having a Vata moment. Forgetful. Yeah. Their tendency towards
being in the mind, airy.
being in the mind. Yeah, exactly. Being in the mind. So they grasp at that fear because they know it's comfortable for them. Right? And within that comfort, then other emotions start to rise up. But they say that if a Vata can have a Kapha friend and vice versa, they can help each other. So that the Vata person might not necessarily, or anybody in any dosha, you might not necessarily notice when you're going out of balance, because that is normal for you to snap, or it's normal for you to be volatile. I mean, this is a typical Vata emotion, being volatile, where you just snap and you burn the candle both ends and you sort of go, Poh!
Yeah.
That's a very typical Vata. So, and just having the sensitivity to be able to step back and notice where you're stepping into the fear, into the I don't want to say depression.
Into space. It feels like space, that, like you say, because Vata is not grounded. So you're grasping, you're looking to be anchored somewhere, something to cling on to in this space, but there isn't anything to cling on to. You can't, because that's not its nature.
There's a lack of root. There's a lack of roots. So they need to grasp onto something to be able to,
secure itself.
To embody something. Yeah, so to feel secure.
Yeah.
To feel secure. So and the best thing that Vata can do when you're feeling these emotions is to get warm
Mm,
Kapati is the best friend for Vata. Kapati, literally sit on the ground, sit on the
mm.
ground, sit and breathe, listen to the nice music, to soothing the emotions through what you love most. Is it maybe you need to dance? Vata might need to dance because they like to move. They're
And to
your
basically get in the body, right? Get out of
the
the mind and
body.
into the
Get it
body. So
exactly. Get it
eating, drinking, moving,
moving.
breathing, that's back into the body. But also,
Breathing
I would say,
the
Lily,
body.
the right kind of breath, right? Because of course we have different types of breathing. So deep, long belly breathing as opposed to the short through the nose breathing. I'm intuitively kind of moving that space,
Good
right?
point. And so therefore being mindful, what kind of breath work are you doing? Because if you're doing the shallow breathing
Mm-hmm.
that is here, this is not good for Vata. We need to
Mm,
ground. We need to go into the bottom of the belly. We need to feel, breathe into the pelvis, into the earth, literally,
mm,
like
mm,
visualize roots going from you. This is why it's so good when we're teaching a yoga class. The first thing we want to do is to ground the Vata of everybody in the room. So we
mm.
sit them down and you do breath work, you do breathing and you visualize roots. You're like there's roots growing from your pelvis into the earth. That is such a simple thing to do, but it actually works.
Yeah.
So and writing, I mean, if you're creative, maybe you like to
Mm-hmm.
journal, you like to journal about your emotions, what happened, like to keep track so that you can catch yourself in those moments
Mm.
of having, the emotions are flying up and notice
Tapping, tapping.
tapping. Yeah, any body, any physical body movement, it's great for Vata to lower the Vata that's
So
vitiated.
massage, self-massage, which is something we never think to do. It's almost like just bringing focus and attention to your own body, to
Yeah,
get yourself in your
Abhyanga,
body.
oiling yourself. Ground. So they say Ayurveda says that to ground a kid that is hyperactive, you oil their feet and then you oil the top of the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, literally, and just be in, especially if it's imagine warm oil that's
Mm-hmm.
soothing and nurturing, and it smells good. It's gonna help you feel better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And of course, oil is the soothe for the dryness of vata, right? So what about like a warm shower? Because we've got the wet and we've got the warmth of the water. And I'm wondering if, putting that warm shower over the head as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, a warm shower, warm bath,
Warm
even
bath
better.
soak, yeah.
Because then your physicality, your body is being held by the water.
Mm,
So the standing
mm,
is great. If you don't have a bath, then standing is great. But
yeah.
a bath with essential oils,
Mm-hmm.
candles, nice music, medicine
Mm.
for Vata,
And
medicine. A
you mentioned
big bowl of
essential
soup
oils.
after.
Sorry, go again. Go ahead.
A big bowl of soup or curry.
Mm,
Mm.
mm.
With its oily, it's got the grounding spices, the sesame oil, the sweet potatoes.
Yeah,
All you
root
really
vegetables.
yeah,
Root vegetables. So ginger again, hot, but root, warm, I should
yeah.
say. And so friends who are watching this, right? This is why we're doing this. So we have we bring up a quality and wisdom, and then we make it accessible for you. And because actually what we forget, and because we've been so conditioned to externalize everything, oh, if something's wrong, we go and ask someone, and we go look for a fix, go buy a pill, or maybe we're in avoidance, we drink alcohol. Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with alcohol, but the point being is that there are natural holistic remedies at your fingertips where you don't even need to leave your home. And here are some of the
Mhm.
things that Lily and I have been sharing. They are simple. Life is a lot simpler than we have tricked ourselves into believing. We believe it's complicated and hard, but everything, and you may or may not hear or read this, everything we need, we actually already have. And so that's why Lily and I had to do this. So actually, I thought, rather than rush through this and try to get all three doshas in, we'll jam on this on Vata for as long as we can. I just didn't want you to mention Pitta and Kapha intermingled with Vata, because then it gets confusing. So we talked about anxiety and fear, symptoms of thinking and the mind, and how to navigate, how to regulate that with different ways, different strategies. What else is there with the Vata quality as it relates to kind of daily life? Is there left to talk about?
Oh, lots. I mean, we can talk about Vata for days.
Love it.
We live in a world that's very Vata vitiated, out of balance. As any city, people would run around like headless chickens from one appointment to another, looking at their phones, and everything they're doing brings their Vata out of balance. So living in a city is in essence is like the worst thing for a Vata. So knowing this, like having this knowledge of Ayurveda and knowing that sounds, too many lights, too much stimulation is gonna bring you slightly out of balance. So then how we walk through our day it might change a little bit. You might be more conscious, more aware of maybe drinking more water, for example, if you're drinking coffee, or it might just slow you down a little bit. Just like, just have your water, you have your bottled water, we can just like stop and drink. Maybe don't schedule so many appointments back to back. Have a longer period of a lunch break, not squash it out in half an hour where you're eating in front of the computer. This is gonna throw you also out of balance, because being in front of the screen is, with the magnetic waves is Vata aggravating. Most things are Vata aggravating, unless you live in a warm environment that is surrounded by nature, and you're not running around like you would in a city. In fact, the Ayurveda says that the best condition, best place, if you think about the environment and the climate of Hawaii, is the ideal for Vata.
Okay. All right. We're all moving to Hawaii.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind living in Hawaii. Because it's not extreme. It's just nice weather.
Moderate.
It's moderate. It's, it's slightly humid, because the Vata needs the humidity a little bit, not too much. And then just scheduling your day in a way that is going to soothe your Vata, and having a yoga practice is it's a must. It's a must. Obviously, maybe if you're not the type that's used to a silent meditation, maybe a guided meditation, and having a warm bath at the end of the day, eating foods that are appropriate for you throughout the day. So not snacking and rice cakes and nuts.
Coffee is not ideal for Vata, because coffee gets you when you're already naturally up there,
When you're naturally up there. So definitely slowing down on the coffee. And I would say eventually stopping coffee might not be easy if you live, if you have a busy schedule, busy life with kids and work and businesses and so on.
I haven't had coffee for 2 weeks.
And how do you feel?
You know what? And I'm definitely very Vata at the moment. I feel so much better.
Oh, good.
Calmer, much calmer, more able to rush through the day. No, I'm kidding. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
yeah.
still
So
rushing through the day because I have that Vata. I have a lot of energy, and human design wise, I'm also a generator. So I got loads of energy. I don't need to trick myself into thinking I have more energy than I really do by adding caffeine into my diet. That's what I'm realizing. And for many people, it's just that, like you said, Lily, it's just habit. And we all resist breaking our habits because we're so comfortable. And the comfort supersedes how do I want to put this? The comfort, the psychological comfort, right? Supersedes the physical comfort because we've become so disconnected with our bodies. So it's like, I know that, I like having coffee. I like it. I like it. Ego. I like it. I like it. Oh, it makes me so productive. But it's also wearing me out. And so my mind chooses what my mind likes over what my body is telling me is not working. And I kind of want to speak to this part as well, because I imagine, and I might be projecting, I imagine anyone new to this watching this video is thinking, oh my God, there's like so much to think about, and I've got so much to change. So if that's you, yes, I'm talking to you. And I totally get that this may sound like a lot to take in and a lot to change, but really it isn't. Because
no,
you do
I
one thing at a time, right, Lily? One thing. Pick
one
one
thing at
thing.
a time. Yeah. Yeah, and an Ayurveda doctor would tell you that if you had a consultation with a doctor, they wouldn't. It could be so overwhelming. So it has to be attainable and achievable,
Yeah.
one thing at a time. I mean, might be um, instead of having coffee, I don't want to say 3 times a day, but people do have coffee three
Oh,
times a
the
day
people have coffee all day.
all day long. So in Sweden too, like they drink coffee like it's going out of style. Um, Maybe slowing to one coffee a day and the rest could be have cacao instead. Have a cup of Earl Grey,
Mm,
have something else that is going to still maintain your energy, but is going to trick your nervous system. Because
I like that.
the caffeine is a trick, is tricking you into believing you have more energy than that's what's available.
Yeah.
So, and it's the minor things. So one step at a time, one routine at a time, and also it takes 40 days to make or break a habit. So take one habit and do it for 40 days or minimum 20 days. I mean, but then it can become, then it's achievable,
Yeah.
because then 10 things at a time, forget it. It's not, we're human, and it's not, we
Yeah.
don't have the capability for that yet.
And even if we pick the one goal, I just want to break this down too. Often we pick the one goal, and the one goal seems impossible because we are looking at the end goal, and we don't realize that, to get from here to here, here to here, we're going, oh, how do I jump? Boom. How do I make this great big leap? When actually to get here to here is just a series of this: 1, 2,
Mm.
3, over 40 days. So it's just 40 times rather than get everything right now and make the big jump. We're actually saying it's possible when you break it down, in effect, to make it easier for you. Make it easier for yourself. Choose one thing and repeat it every single day. Simple.
Yeah, as the Dalai Lama likes to say, the 1,000-mile journey starts with your first step.
Absolutely. And the next
Yeah.
day, it's the first step because it's the first step of the next day. And it's the same step. But cumulatively, when you compound that, it's 1,000 miles. So I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
I would say if you can think about what is it in your life, in your lifestyle, that is, to your understanding and knowledge, what is disrupting you the most, that should be the first thing you do, because then
Mm,
that will have an impact in the rest of your life.
yeah.
Right? So, and only you know what that is. No one else can tell you, well, you should do this, you should do this. No,
Yeah.
it's a personal journey, and you know yourself best. So take the
Yeah.
one thing that's disrupting you the most and just tackle that. And the
Mm.
40 days and the 40-day journey, and equip yourself with the things that you need. You need to have more the better type of oil for your dosha, the spices, the food, get yourself, have the environment, build your environment around you so that it can support that, the
Mm.
process of
Hmm.
the shift, the healing, or whatever is it that how you
Throw the
want.
coffee out of your house. Give it to your neighbor. Be kind, be generous. I mean, I do want to come back to the coffee bit because I think that's very common. It's a very common Vata habit. And if I can share a little bit of why I actually haven't struggled so much this time around is because, I was so into my coffee. I love the taste of it, that I would like have two coffees back to back and I would gulp it down. That's so again, very Vata, right? Just fast. And the first one was so fast that I didn't really get to enjoy it. So I'm like, I'm going to have another one. So after two coffees, I am buzzing like mad, right? And so I have to do stuff. So then I get busy. But not only do I get busy, and I wanted to invite people who are watching to notice if this resonates with you, right? I then have a million ideas, and I feel inspired. That's the word I use. I'm inspired. But then I soon become very overwhelmed with all those ideas because I'm now confused. Which idea do I do first? And so I try to do all. So I start 10 things,
Oh no.
right? And now I need another coffee because now I need a coffee to keep me going to finish those 10 things. And so I think you're kind of getting the gist of this, okay? And if you're particularly sensitive to caffeine, it affects your sleep. And I would say it affects your sleep, whether you think you're sensitive to caffeine or not, because it's going to have one of two effects. One, you're not going to be able to sleep. Two, you desensitize to the caffeine and you sleep well, but now you need more caffeine to feel anything because you've normalized the levels of caffeine, what you can handle. So for me, I was just like, I can't handle my palpitations anymore. When I was younger, 10 years ago, even, I'm not going to lie, I kind of got off on this palpitation. It was kind of like, whew, whew. It was thrilling. Now it's like I can barely breathe, and I can't handle my overthinking anymore. And it was becoming debilitating. It was causing me to shut down. So the very thing that I was writing off now was incapacitating me. I was now not able to do anything because I was overthinking so much into a frozen mode. So try it. As you say, Lily, we choose one thing, we hyper focus on that. It's not always about just removing it completely. It could be reducing. So if you drink 5 cups of coffee, drink 5 half cups. Or perhaps, so you maintain the number of times because that in and of itself is a habit, but you drink less, that you drink slower. Or as you said, Lily, replace it. Replace it with tea. Replace it with cacao. Right? They still activate you, but in a different way. You're tricking your nervous system, as you mentioned. So I'm loving this discussion. It looks like today the session is going to be all about Vata, which is great. Anything? I mean, you said we could talk for days about Vata, but is there one more thing you could bring to light about Vata? Yeah, one more thing.
One more thing of for Vata, for balancing a Vata. I would say, because Vata can burn itself at both ends, it's good for Vata to maintain the lever or not let themselves get to a state where they're like just starving, because then they don't operate well. They're, you know, their mental focus is gone. They become nervous, fearful, and all of these things start to come up. So it's important for Vata to snack a little bit throughout the day, to, you know, to maintain, to eat, you know, to have some snacks on you, so have a, you know, a handful of nuts, not a whole bag, because a whole bag will throw anybody out of balance. But
And that's dry, more dry, right? That's also not good.
yeah, exactly. So some fruit, keep some fruit with you, a handful of nuts. Try to regulate your life so that it becomes, I mean, this could be a bit boring for Vata, but the steadiness,
Ah.
of, you know, having your breakfast at the same time, your lunch and your dinner. Uh, yeah, rituals. But I'd mentioned rituals already.
I think the one way to get over the boring, because that I definitely relate to that, the boring, right, is that it's boundaries. It's boundaries. So when I have boundaries, when I have touch points, so for example, whatever happens, I have breakfast at this, I eat at this time, this time, this time. Then in the period between those times, I can go crazy. I can be not boring. I can be exciting and do all the other stuff. But my check-in is those 3 times.
Yeah.
It's one way of exploring that, because it is, right? We have to understand how we work. So I love that you claim that. And for all of us, all of you out there where Vata is resonating with you, if you're ashamed to say, well, actually, yes, it's boring, don't be. Own it, because Lily's just said, for Vata, it's going to be boring. And I've owned it. Yes, I find some of these things boring. But how you reframe that is that it creates a safety, it creates a structure within, a structure from within, that you can still be in flow, still find the fun, but in a way that is healthier for you. It's not damaging you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Vata wants change. That's the one thing, Vata. They want change. They want to travel. They want to be to
Air.
10 places. Yeah, air. Yeah.
Flighty.
Flighty. Yeah, forgetful. So, so good. So the good, the patterns that we can build in our lives, they're going to support. They're going to support it. The, you know, scheduling. I mean, Vata don't like that word. Scheduling things so that it's gonna make your life a lot easier.
I was trying to find an alternative. Planning, no.
No,
Committing, oh no.
no. What do we find for Vata?
It's grounding. Like I said, it's just these touch points, you know. It's like coming home to yourself 3 times a day. In the arena of food, they use that as an example, right? It's like, I'm just going to come home to myself. I'm just going to check in. Okay, where am I? That's what the rituals are, really. It's about checking in. It's about creating space just for you to see how you're doing before you go wild and crazy again.
Yeah, no, you have your cup of tea, sit down. Okay, how am I doing in my day? Am I staying in track? Am I ahead of myself? Or am I behind schedule? What's happening, so that you can organize yourself in a way that's healthy for you, that's not going to be too much out of balance? Because, you know, the reality is that we live in a crazy world where we're being bombarded. I mean, the phone, I call it it's a being perpetually on your phone. We all are, in a way, at the end of the day, when you think about it. It's a detrimental for our health.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
This it's like a it's like a disease. The phone is a disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what that's going to do, being a slave to your phone, you're always thinking ahead, and that's going to throw your Vata out of balance as well. So maybe taking time away from the phone is also good. I mean, for all three doshas, to just
Yeah.
being more mindful, being less in front of the screen.
Yeah.
What do you
And
think
like you
about that?
being present, right? Because the vata is also, like you said, in the mind, it's air, it's space. And so I find myself looking up often, then I know that I'm in my mind. And like you say, thinking of the next thing, what's the next thing? We're no longer being present. We're no longer feeling our bodies. We're literally in our minds. And I'll be the first to admit, I definitely feel very vata, very, very, very vata. I'm guilty of the fact that today I have literally had back-to-back meetings. And
Yes.
I the first pause I really truly had was just before getting on this call with you. I had dinner, which was cooked with so much love, and I enjoyed my meal. And for the first time today, I was able to just, ah, you know, and now connecting with you. And I think this is also an important aspect of just our humanness. Connection, conversation is one way we're present. My phone's far away from me, and it's on silent in a way. I'm just here present wholly in my body with you. This is also so important, right? Because we thrive on connection.
Absolutely. And Vata is very social. Vata loves people, having people around, and um, they thrive on that, actually. They thrive on, they're very creative types. So conversations and connections, it triggers and it inspires them. So, which is great. It's, a Vata couldn't live on their own. They I mean, it's nurturing to live on your own, but they would rather be with other people, always,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
always. And what else can I mention about Vata? Balancing Vata. Mm, your relations also important. Being mindful of having the right type of connections, the right type of friends around. A Vata needs someone that that helps them with the
Grounds
check.
them, grounds
Yeah,
them, literally,
yeah.
right? Which
Vata needs.
I'm imagining, Lily, whether for Vata, then Vata type can benefit. I mean, you said they're very social, but really benefit from being social in a quality over quantity way. So I'm being social right now. I'm being social with one person. But when I'm in a big group and being social, that might that also throw my Vata out of balance?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that a Vata type can relate to having social anxiety,
Okay.
being
Okay.
in a place with a lot of people. Vatas, some Vatas might like it, but some Vatas they might have they they will resonate with having a bit of anxiety around being a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
because they might be the Vatas are very sensitive. They're very, they're light. They're
Yeah.
light.
They're everywhere. They're in the air. They're everywhere, literally everywhere.
Yeah. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So thank you, Lily. I think we'll pause there for today on Vata. There was a lot there. So those of you watching, watch this again, make notes of questions, post them in the comments wherever you're watching this, whether it's in the community, whether it's on social media. Post your questions in the comments and we'll come back to you. And next session, Lily and I will talk about Pitta, another dosha. Okay. And I want to frame this for everybody because really, Lily and I have come together. We've been wanting to do something together for a while. And the right time and the right moment came up. And I think you can tell how passionate we both are. And I think you can see how amazing Lily is with her wisdom and how amazing she is at breaking this down and how fun she makes this, right? We're
That's
on a
really
mission.
fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Yeah, we're on a mission to spread this wisdom and to spread it in a way that is fun, accessible, and immediately implementable, right? Not something that's just so overwhelming that someone else does or that you can never do. And we're here to do it within community. So right now, all this is here as a resource as we start you off on this journey. But I want to be transparent from the start, is that the intent is to create a subscription for this, because that requires a commitment from your part, which is an incentive to not just think about this, but start to take action on it, and have Lily and I here to support you along the way. So I want to see that to you. I want to be transparent that yes, we're here to provide the support, but really we're looking to provide long-term support in community where you invest. And when I say invest, I mean a financial investment in a subscription model, so that these are not just thoughts. This is not just Vata. We can get into action. We can start to see make some conscious choices, to create some conscious action, to see some beautiful transformation and transform your lifestyle, because it's not just going to impact you, it's going to impact the people around you, and it's going to impact the planet. It's going to impact humanity. And Lily and I don't think big. We just think about how you're going to impact humanity and the world. Not big, really.
No pressure.
No pressure, no pressure. But like you said, Lily, fun, right? Because what is life if we can't have some fun?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my name, my one of my Sanskrit names, were one of the one you know me by, Lila Maya. It translates to cosmic play. So it's my duty to the world to bring this knowledge down in a way that's palatable and fun, and I love the way you said attainable, applicable. Like now, okay, what can I do to find balance in my life right this moment? Great, thank you. And if you watch this and you still don't get it, let us know. We'll be happy to share and tell you, the tools, the practices, anything.
So you have Lila Maya here, cosmic play, and my other teacher, my shamanic teacher, from the Mayan, the Curanderos teacher, named me Dreamweaver. So all the dreams you've ever had for the life you want to lead, right? As wild as they are, as Vata as they are truly possible. But it's about finding and bringing understanding how to create balance in your body. And balance is not a stagnant place, because the world, everything around us is moving and changing. It's also moving and changing within us in the cycles of life. And understanding the science of life, Ayurveda, means that when we're out of balance, we learn how to bring ourselves back into balance until we go out of balance again and back into balance again. It's in flux constantly.
Play.
And the play.
Constantly. Yeah, it's in a constant, everything's in a constant state of changing anyway. So to think that it's not, it's just nonsense.
And I know there's a because we are conditioned to think linearly. It's like, I have this problem. What is the fix? I do this and I'm fixed forever. No, the forever is learning how to dance with life. Dance with life. Life is not stagnant. In fact, if it is stagnant, that's when you're out of balance. So the idea is, how do I flow with life? It's flowing through me in my evolution. So this is the fun. Okay, all those fancy words, but really it's just about having fun, bringing more peace and joy and harmony and grace to our lives through this incredible wisdom of Ayurveda. Lily, any sort of last words to wrap up Vata today?
Vata. Well, first I want to say thank you for providing both of us a space where we can together weave this knowledge into reality, into the now. And Ayurveda couldn't be more relevant to our our humankind evolution. It's ancient. I call it the ancient knowledge for the modern yogi, or for the modern being, because it's and you mentioned this earlier. It's so beautiful. Like you don't have to go anywhere to start to apply this simple tools into your life. It's all in your medicine. It's all in your kitchen cabinet. It's all right there. It's all in the groundedness of your home. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just stay with you, find comfort in yourself, and believe that you can heal yourself, because we are programmed almost. We're innate beings, that it's in our nature innately to heal ourselves. And Ayurveda is the pillar, the strongest foundation in which we can use for this healing, self-healing, and or the journey of life, in which we find ourselves in this crazy times.
Absolutely.
It starts with us. It starts with you. It starts with you, and how you how you step into the world, and how you shine your light. But it's constant. It's constantly, every day, shifting, changing. What's going on? Oh yeah, I forgot that I shouldn't be eating too many nuts, or that I shouldn't. Yeah, whatever. But
and part of that is bring. It also helps you bring the softness and the tenderness. Like, oh yeah, I forgot, and then no, I'm now going to beat myself up for it. But I just forgot. Oh, isn't that great? I have the awareness now that I can even notice that I forgot. So now what's the action I take? So it's just, you're still moving. You're also not getting stuck in your mind of self-criticism, But again, like you said, we could talk it for days and hours on this. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you, Lily, for giving an hour of your time for this today.
I love it.
And those of you watching, comment, ask, join us for the next one, and think about, if this really resonates with you, and if you really feel called to change your life from the inside, to join us on this Ayurveda sharing wisdom journey, to invest in yourself. 2 cups of coffee, that might be all the investment is gonna be. We'll figure that out later, but we want to show up for you, right? So in order for you to make this happen for yourself, you need to make the commitment to yourself. If you commit to yourself, we're here to commit to you. And this is a taster, a flavor of what you can get if you continue this journey with us. But the next one will continue to be free, a gift from Lily and I. And until next time, take care, Lily. Thank you.
And thank you, and thank you for all those watching. Do write. Just tell us everything. Share everything that we like to know with us, and we'll help you. We're happy to.
Until next time.
Namaste. Until next time.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.